Hey there guys, welcome back. My name's Dave, also known as Draco, and this is part 4 of my Dark Souls 2 walkthrough, playthrough, let's play. We just finished up in the last part 3, we just finished up the Forest of the Fallen Giants and defeated the last giant boss. Finished up getting all the treasures as well as a few items, and finished up the NPC quests in there as well. Now I'm here in Majula. We're just having a look. The soul of the last giant there. Also the soul of the pursuer. It's good to keep those on hand because I'll be using them for weapons later. Alright, now I did want to trade in my Estus Flask shards and also do a bit of leveling up, which I'm just going to go ahead and do now. Might also upgrade a couple of weapons while we're here. And, you know, just run some repairs and grab some items before heading out again. In this part, I'm going to be heading to Heide's Tower of Flame
to see light,
to take on a couple of bosses there and clear that area out. And it's good that the Emerald Herald reminds you that you've got Estus Flask shards, because you may not always remember to upgrade. But as you can see here, my endurance and vitality are a little bit low at the moment. I did want to wear a little bit of heavier stuff. And obviously we need as much endurance as we can for that stamina. So I think my strength and dex look okay for the weapons that I want to use at the moment, but I am thinking about going with the bastard sword for a little while, so I'm just going to increase my strength. I do need 20 strength to wield the bastard sword in one hand. Yeah, a little bit of endurance just for the extra stamina. Yeah, we'll go with a couple of points of dex, I think. Now, the Bastard Sword's an interesting weapon. It's got a different moveset to a lot of other weapons. It is a straight sword, although it's a bit heavier than, you know, your long sword. So the R2 attack, or the strong attack, does an overhead slash, and the R1 does fairly slow-moving horizontal swipe.
Just a simple blacksmith. And you are... another useless traveler. A man ought to labor with his feet planted firmly in the earth. Not roam around like you flirtatious vagabonds.
Flirtatious vagabonds?
What does it matter? Go on. Show me what you've got. Your equipment. Let me have a look. But do it quick.
Do it quick, I'm busy making a short sword. Nice thing about these regular weapons is they upgrade with just standard Titanite, which I do prefer. You've always got to be careful when you're going to, at least early on in the game, if you're going to be using things that upgrade with Twinkling Titanite, just be very sure that that's the weapon that you want to stick with. So Twinkling Titanite is a very expensive commodity, and it's quite rare in the grand scheme of things. You don't run into too many Twinkling Titanites, at least not enough to upgrade every single thing that uses it, because there's plenty of armor that upgrades with it as well. So you see me there just upgrading the mace. I do that every now and then just to keep a blunt weapon. As I've said before in a couple of parts, to keep a blunt weapon on hand at all times. Just remember that, kids, always keep the blunt on hand at all times. Stock up on a few Titanite shards to upgrade the Bastard Sword. Decide just to upgrade the Heide Knight Sword just to keep a spare on hand, just in case the Bastard Sword breaks. So as you'll see, Malentia's back here in Majula now. You can exhaust all of her dialogue, but she won't move on until you defeat the last giant, so just remember. But you'll see now she sells an unlimited supply of life gems, which is always handy. If you've got a few thousand souls left over after leveling up, go out and buy yourself some throwing knives and life gems. They always come in handy. Even at the end of the game, you'll still need your life gems, you'll still need your throwing knives. They've almost made life gems, they've almost made the Estus Flask obsolete with the introduction of life gems, to be honest with you. Life gems allow you to keep moving while you're healing, as well as, I think, replacing or replenishing your health just as quick, almost, as an Estus Flask anyway. Now, as you can see, I'm just showing you the Covenant of Champions. The Covenant you can go after if you're feeling a little bit adventurous. It does turn off all NPC summoning, so you won't be able to summon anyone for any boss fight help. And I believe all your enemies and bosses have an increase to damage and also their health. So, anytime you defeat a boss in the Covenant of Champions, it grants you the Ore Stone, which will obviously let you access Covenant rewards later on. You can see here in this pathway down to the Heide's Tower, just off Majula, there's a contraption that we can't move yet. We will be able to move that after clearing out the next area. Now, in case you come here first, as you know, quite honestly, it would be easy to come here first. I've done it a few times, and it's quite a challenge at the beginning. There is a shield in here if you haven't picked one up already, albeit it is a Crimson Palmer, which isn't that fantastic. I think it's got nowhere near 100% defense rating. It's something like 60, I think, or 75. There you go. It is quite light, and you can use it to parry, although by this stage I would imagine you've either bought one or found one a little bit better. So this is our little aqueduct or lock mechanism here for the water. Open that gate. If you want to get back, the lever to open the gate is just up there. If you want to come back this way, which is unlikely you'll come back through here, because there is a bonfire just ahead and there's no enemies in your way anyway, so highly unlikely unless you're doing a no bonfire run. So we'll see we got a broken thief sword and a soul of an undead. A broken thief sword is a lot just like the straight sword hilt from Dark Souls, and also the broken straight sword itself. Offers very little in the way of attack, and it's kind of shit, so I can't imagine anyone using that, to be honest. So I'm just taking a look through the binoculars. Quite a beautiful area, the Heide's Tower of Flame. It's a good screenshot area as well. So many times I've just caught a glimpse of my character in the background and thought, yeah, let's print screen that one. You can see that the sea's reclaimed this place. It's quite dilapidated, and it does look eerily similar to Anor Londo from Dark Souls 1. Nowhere here is it directly said that it is Anor Londo or anything about the history of this place. There's a lot of speculation that it is. There's a couple of things in here that will make you believe that it may be a reimagining or a rebuilt Anor Londo, as it were. Now you can see from, it's rather cool, you can see from here the boss that we'll be taking on in there. You'll see him just waiting. Although you can see also that the floor itself is still in the sea. There are a couple of levers that we can pull to raise that floor to make the boss battle a little bit easier. As I want to show you here, I don't think it's possible to hit him from here with any arrows. I'm just going to give it a shot, but I really don't think you can hit the Dragonrider boss from here. And that one's far too high. So there you go, that was right through the neck and didn't do any damage whatsoever, so yeah. I wouldn't expect you to be able to take him out from there. That would be a little bit cheap and cheating. Alright, so out comes the bastard sword. Now this enemy here doesn't respawn. I believe he drops a sublime bone dust, so you can not so much upgrade your Estus Flask shard, Estus Flask, but it actually restores more health with each swig. As you can see, with an upgraded bastard sword, they do fall in 2 or 3 hits, which is good. So there's the sublime bone dust. We've got an effigy and another soul. Interesting with the sublime bone dust, they say these are the remains of a saint who cast himself into the bonfire. But we will never know for sure, for soot and ashes tell no story. So clearly with Dark Souls 1, the aim of the game was to, well, depending on who you listen to in the game, was to sacrifice yourself by linking the fire, as Lord Gwyn did. So whether or not that's the previous player character from Dark Souls 1 or someone else, it's not explicitly said, nor does it make too much difference. At this point, we're never actually going to know. So yeah, there you go. You can see him a little bit better there. He's got quite a halberd. You are able to get that halberd with his soul, which is good, and it's quite a decent halberd as well. Also, his shield is obtainable as well. So yeah, I've just pulled that. After you kill that Heide Knight there, the switch will raise up from the floor and allow you to do that. But as you can see, there's still an outer ring that we need to raise from the ocean floor. So I've still got the Way of Blue Covenant ring equipped, which I should probably replace for a life ring at this point. Interesting thing here is that there are 3, although those other 2 with the shields will stand back honourably while you fight or get destroyed by this greatsword wielding knight, whichever it is. Another cool thing is here, even though it looks like it's an ambush, if you hang around long enough, the second one there will go back to the doorway at some point. So it'll allow you just to take these guys on one at a time. So there you go. He always backtracks with his shield up. So he comes in for an initial attack, but as long as you can avoid it, you'll be safe. So they do largely the same moves every single time they attack, these guys with the sword and shield. I have found that their second attack, which is a rather large sweep attack, can hit you from quite a ways away, so normally I just block the first attack, back up and roll away from the second, and then move in behind on the third to get a few strikes in. Works like a charm. And there we go, is the second part of the floor has been raised up now, so I'll make my way down there to the boss room. On the way though, there is an item to pick up on a chest, and also 1 more of these guys to kill. And you can also see up the very top, if you were quick, there's an NPC waiting to be spoken to. Very interesting NPC as well. So there's the green blossom, which increases stamina recovery, a lot like the Chloranthy ring does. A bit useless, probably only useful in PvP, to be honest, because when you're going to desperately need stamina. There's a summon sign here. I think Alexander is a human summon because I am playing online, but this one here, regardless of whether you're online or offline, is a computer summon, Masterless Glencore. I don't think there's any lore behind him, there's no story. You definitely can't talk to him, he's just a random NPC summon. So if you're offline, you don't have internet access, you can summon somebody to help you, although it's really not necessary for this guy, he's quite easy. As you can see far off into the distance, as you can notice with most areas, you can still see Dragonlake Castle. But, without any further ado, this is the Dragonrider. So his first attack is normally a big ambush there. I have seen some speedrunners on the internet, people with a little bit of skill, can not raise those platforms and actually run straight up to him, and he does fall off the edge with a little bit of timing. I don't suggest it, especially not if you are watching this for some sort of strategy, because it does take quite a bit of skill. So you can see the Dragonrider does a standard thrust attack, which is quite easy to dodge either left or right. Anytime he attacks and you roll out of the way, you can probably get 1 or 2 shots in. The only time he combos is when he does this one here. He very often he'll do a second attack, but really that is a cakewalk, that boss fight. The decent shield, he can just block his attacks and then, you know, wait it out and then move in behind, but yeah. So long ago, the Dragonriders mounted worms and were feared on the battlefield for their unparalleled strength. So soul of the Dragonrider, the knights who faithfully served Vendrick. Alright, this is Lycia of Lindelt. Let's see what she has to say.
Are you from these parts? My name is Lycia. I have come to spread the art of miracles, a practice of which I am a disciple. I can see that you are well suited to comprehend their wondrous power. But the cost of it, that's for your heart to decide. I'd heard awful rumors about this place, and I'm afraid they were all true. The king, gone. The earth, ravaged. The burden on the people weighs heavy. I fear that, by now, they may have scarce room in their hearts for miracles. Why did I come here? Well... do I need any other reason than to spread the gospel of miracles? My preceptor always said this art should be shared with the world. And such is my only wish. Sometimes I fight the urge to pack up and go back home. It is... well, I must do this. And being out here all alone only makes this a more fitting test of my fortitude. I expected this cathedral to be bustling, but there's hardly a soul to be found here. Without any goings-on, I'll have to move soon. To a place I could gull the... sorry, help the gullible by teaching the good word.
Very suspect, very suspect. Alright, so she sells the cleric's sacred chime, but if you followed my advice and picked it up at the start, you won't need to worry. It's quite an expensive ring, the ring of prayer, which will increase your faith by, I think, 5 points. So, if you don't have faith requirements to use certain miracles, you can just buy this one for a high price. Buy it at a high price. And she's got a few miracles here as well. The only one that's going to actually do any damage is Lightning Spear. That's the thing about faith and miracles, is that there's not too many offensive spells. Pretty much everything is all about healing, which is kind of pointless considering it's probably just as quick to use a healing item, especially in PvP, PvE.
No need
sorry.
for miracles.
Now that I've spoken to her
The
and she
gods
gives you
frown
the
upon such soul
she gives you the
scrimpers.
line about gulling the common folk or gulling the stupid people. She does move on back to that little room that we came through with the contraption. Alright. So I didn't rest to that bonfire, crucially, because I didn't want all the enemies to respawn, because to take on the second boss, you're going to have to backtrack through the level. So if you just light that bonfire, you'll be able to warp back there if you die. But make sure not to rest at it if you're going to do what I'm doing. As you can see, they're all gone. We're just going to run back up to the room with the 3 and take the other entrance, which will take us up to a place called the Cathedral of Blue, which has a couple of Anor Londo and Dark Souls 1 references in there. Much the same. You'll probably want to take out this guy with ranged attacks, or at least soften him up with a couple of arrows first. If you can draw him on his own, it should make things a little bit easier. Good old Lycia. She speaks a little bit like a politician. A couple of times you can hit her up for dialogue, and you can... it's implied that you're asking her some questions about miracles and faith, what the meaning of, you know, faith is, or what the first flame is that she speaks of. It looks like she's about to answer you. She gives you some sort of strange answer to get you off the topic, so she really isn't all that she seems, let's put it that way. Alright, so you'll see the beautiful steeple and a large drawbridge that's not quite yet lowered, which we'll be able to do something about very shortly. Much like the other switches that appear in this level, you need to kill this guy here for the switch to appear to bring that down. But as you can see up there, the beautiful Heide's Tower of Flame is set ablaze now that we've defeated Dragonrider. An old knight there just turned around, don't know what he's doing, contemplating life and where he is. Don't blame him, it is quite a beautiful vista. Alright, so pulling that one triggers the animation for the drawbridge to be lowered. Always love the magnitude of that drawbridge as well, even the crunch as it hits the concrete. Alright, so we picked up the Ring of Binding. It's a bit like the Cling Ring from Demon Souls. It'll limit the amount of HP you lose when you die. As you may or may not have noticed, if you do happen to die, you will lose a bit of your HP every time. Your max HP, that is. But this is the area boss for the Cathedral of Blue, the Old Dragonslayer. Looks exactly like Ornstein from Dark Souls 1. Once again, whether or not this is actually Ornstein or whether it's a different boss altogether, I think, as most people do, it is either a reincarnation or whether it's the same boss that we fought in Dark Souls 1. I'm of the opinion that it is. I think just over time he's changed his attacks from lightning element to the dark element, just because he's going more and more hollow, becoming more and more cursed. It's a little bit more dangerous than the Dragonrider, that's for sure. He doesn't have a shield, so he'll constantly come at you. He's quite aggressive. Probably want to just look for your opening. These sort of attacks where he jumps in the air, you'll be able to just roll either left or right and get a couple of swings in. Healing's a bit difficult because he can just constantly comes at you. You've got to pick your spots. This is where life gems really shine, because you won't be left wide open while you heal with an Estus. It's an interesting attack. The little dark bead will follow you, to the best of my knowledge, so you'll need to just roll out of the way of that one. You can see I've had a little bit of trouble landing hits on him. Bastard Sword is a bit slow, and he does tend to jump out of the way after a certain amount of time, so you won't get too many shots in on him. This is his most dangerous attack, the big butt slam that I think he's inherited from Smo, from Dark Souls. It has a large area of effect, so you'll want to just, as soon as you see him charging up, just roll directly backwards twice. It should be all fine. So we're going alright, we've got him down about 2/3 health so far. He does have an unblockable attack. It's the one where he backs up a little bit, and this one here. Regardless of whether you block that or not, it's still going to do damage to you. I guess the aim of the game, as it is with most bosses, is not to catch too many blows from that spear to the face. But he does play a lot the same sort of strategy as the Dragonrider anyway. You just need to wheel around behind him and get a few shots in. Probably could have finished it there, but just playing it safe. Always move out of the way. Alright, and that is victory achieved. Alright, so interestingly he gives you the old Leo ring as well, which I think increases thrust weapon counter attacks. So if you do a backstab or actually just a riposte and a parry with a spear or a rapier or any sort of thrusting weapon, you'll get a bit of a damage bonus. So as you can see, the Old Dragonslayer is reminiscent of a certain knight that appears in Legend. So there you go. 99% sure that we can call that one Ornstein. cracked blue eye orbs allow you to invade people who have sinned, or people who have attacked NPCs. And the Heide Knight Iron Mask and a target shield. Target shield's not too bad, it's a pretty good parry shield. The Heide Knight Iron Mask is a very good piece of armor. It's the same Heide Knights that we fought in the forest, which was that white guy. So whether Heide refers to a kingdom or was just a name for the land is not clear, for no records date back far enough to tell. Does offer a pretty decent defense rating as well. Same sort of description on the Heide Knight sword. And this is Targain,
transient being,
leader of the Blue Sentinels Covenant.
This is no place for one such as you. Be gone. You are not needed.
You'll see here he gives you the cold shoulder if you
being,
haven't got an item called Token of Fidelity. You can pick up a Token of Fidelity through the game, and I can't remember off the top of my head where you can pick it up, but definitely not before you speak to him.
You are not needed.
You can get a Token of Fidelity from helping other people out by using your summon sign to defeat a boss. So he'll pretty much just brush you aside if you don't have one, which is fair enough. He's got his own way of dealing with the curse. And down here is the bonfire. You'll see I'm playing online, there's a fair few messages down here. The reason why is because this is a PvP area. Down here in the Covenant you can enter into duels in a little arena with Way of the Blue members. Blue Sentinels members. But that's it for Heide's Tower. I'm just going to come back here because I wanted to run down through the next area and grab a couple of items. One of my favourite pieces of armour is down in this next little section as well, called the Knight Set. Right, so this is still Heide's Tower of Flame. This is an area called the Unseen Path to Heide. So this is a little back entrance to Heide's Tower of Flame from another area that we're going to come to, called No Man's Wharf. As you can see, these giants are still down here. I think I did make a mention of this on my first playthrough that I did, which obviously I'm starting a new one, so I have abandoned that one. But I did make mention that it's odd that these guys are down here because there doesn't seem to be any way that they could actually fit and get down here. So I think that I'm of the opinion that they were actually constructed down here after the fact. You'll see some dark trotches and a human effigy, and the Old Knight Halberd. A weapon that sounds much better than it is. The only reason it's so bad is because it's got such low durability. But it's interesting there, it says sometimes just as a thing falls to pieces, it unleashes its last flash of great power. I'm not sure, I haven't seen it myself, but I have heard talk on the internet that the Old Knight weapons do have a special attack that happens when they break. Not too sure, I haven't confirmed it. I'm just sort of talking about speculation there, so... Otherwise, I mean, they are decent weapons with decent attack ratings, but they do have very low durability, so you'll want to use an item called the Bracing Knuckle Ring, which will slow the amount of wear on your weapons. Otherwise though, you can see me here, there's not much to talk about with these guys. They're fairly easy to kill once you've killed a few of them. But you will just need to continue on down here, down this elevator. Can see here, the Heide's Tower of Flame is a really nice looking area as well, especially on computer. The water effects down here are really lovely. I've always liked this, being able to see the reflection of the flame off the water as well. It looks really nice for a Souls game. I was really blown away by the PC port of this, to be honest. It exceeded my expectations threefold. I did buy the PlayStation version, of course, but once the computer version came out, there was no going back. This guy's a little bit different. You're fighting him in sort of knee-deep water, so it makes it a little bit harder to roll and move around. So yeah, I guess you have to adjust for that. This is the doorway you'll want to come through to grab the item. So just up through here and to the right, there's no more enemies anymore. And down in this chest down here, we'll find a really cool set of armor. So at this point in the game, I don't think you can pick up anything better than this. In terms of poise, anyway, Apart from, yeah, actually you can. After you defeat the pursuer, you can go pick up another set of armor, the Dragonlake armor, but this one is a lot lighter and does look a little bit better, I think. It's a bit heavier. It's not necessarily better though. Be careful, the hands and feet are not as good as the Falconer armor, which is surprising, but as you can see, the defense rating of the Falconer stuff is still a little bit better, even though this has got better poise. Poise in this game's, it's kind of irrelevant. It is a number, it is a thing. You will stand a few more hits if you have higher poise, but I wouldn't rely on poise too much. I think it's a broken mechanic. Doesn't seem to matter how much poise you have, enemies can still stun lock you very easily, especially if you're playing PvP and they've got the giant ring on. Not sure what people's problem is down here. There's so many bloodstains all around this boss here, or all around that enemy there, sorry, so looks like people do have a little bit of trouble down here, so I guess if you're one of those, just make sure that you keep a little bit of stamina at all times. Don't get too greedy with your attacks, especially if you are just starting out. Stamina, I can't be stressed enough, is the most important stat. But, here's another NPC called Lucatiel of Mirrah.
What is it? I don't know you, and you don't know me. Things are better that way. You are an odd one. Normally, people keep a safe distance when they see this mask. But you... I'm called Lucatiel. From the land of Mirrah to the far east, across the mountains. They say Dragonlake brims with powerful souls. And so I came to claim my share. But what a strange place. Even the rumors did not prepare me. You are an odd one indeed. I've always made a point of avoiding people, while you've made a point of engaging me. I can see that you are mid-journey. If you require assistance, I will help you. I come from Mirrah, a land of knights. My sword is always ready. Don't hesitate to call upon me. Whatever happens, I won't be missed.
Now I will talk about her and discuss her in the next video. But she's now finished her dialogue, so lighting that bonfire will continue, will make her move on. But otherwise guys, thank you so much for joining me again in part 4, and I hope you can join me again in the next couple of days for part 5. This has been Draco. Peace out guys.